Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Multifamily Mindset Extended Cut. It's Jackson and Dallas again. We're going to do another deep dive on drip number 3. It's episode number 3.
We're taking it way back.
At the very beginning of the podcast is one of the first episodes that Dallas recorded. It's a great episode. It's called Mornings Are for Winners.
Mornings are for winners.
Go back. If you haven't listened to it, if you're just joining the podcast within the past couple of weeks, go back and listen to episode 3, Mornings Are for Winners. It's a great episode. Dallas goes into Jocko Willink's book, Extreme Ownership. We'll touch on it today. We'll dive a little bit deeper into that.
Book.
But go back and listen to it, and then listen to this one, or listen to this one and go back and listen to that one. It's a great episode. It'll kind of open up some discussion between the two. So it is.
Yes.
Definitely go back.
And don't judge audio quality.
No.
That was the beginning stages of the Growthcast. That was learning curve stage.
Yes. It's much higher quality now for sure. Dallas, before we get started, is there anything that you want to say about Mornings Are for Winners before I start hammering you with some questions that I pulled from that episode?
My morning was beautiful.
Today?
Yeah, we talked about it this morning, and we both came in early, and man, it was a beautiful morning.
Yeah, we thought it'd be fun. We thought it'd be fun that this episode, morning is for winners. We thought we'd record this episode as early as we could.
Yeah.
So we had our morning routines that we had, and then we were here in the office by 7 a.m. to record this bad boy. So
it was a beautiful drive in, glorious. The sunrise on the mountains, colors.
Yeah.
Quiet.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people.
No.
It was great.
No, we definitely won. I feel like I won the morning.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
me
definitely.
too.
And now we're here doing this, and this is my favorite part of the week. So let's dive in. So in the episode, Dallas, you talk about the importance of the first W, right? You mentioned as waking up to your alarm as the first one of the day, and how that helps you gain momentum.
For sure.
Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yes, that first W is getting up on that first tick on the alarm, right? That first sound. Jocko refers to it in his book as that first W, and committing. And yeah, a lot of people hit the snooze button.
Yep.
The majority, we talk about the majority and separating ourselves from the majority and trying to become, great at whatever it is we're doing. And one of the most beneficial ways that we can help ourselves in that process is to win that very first moment, right? And we talk about stacking wins moment to moment, and that's the first moment of the day every single day is the snooze button. And so being able to not hit the snooze button, but get up out of your bed and rise, that's a huge win.
Yeah. You talk about how it's having discipline in yourself, and how that discipline creates freedom.
For sure.
So I wanted, before I jump into these questions, that just kind of naturally came up. What do you mean that discipline gives you freedom? Explain that a little bit.
So as you master, in order to master your day and all the tasks at hand, you cannot get behind, right? So therefore, discipline is really important, because if you're looking to be great at anything, it means that you're probably doing a lot, and there's only finite amount of time in every single day. And so if you're not being disciplined moment to moment, including that moment when your alarm goes off, you're already getting behind. And that's a huge issue as you move forward through all of these tasks that are amounting or stacking up every single day. And you need all the time and all the energy that you can get and acquire, right? And if I get behind straight out of the gate, I'm playing catch up.
Yeah.
And that's hard.
Yeah.
And that bleeds into other things, and it builds up this mountain of catch up that I have to deliver on.
Yeah. And at times I've noticed when we're playing catch up or we're chasing something that we got to get done, the quality of it goes way down.
Yeah. That's a huge point to make right there, Jax.
Yeah.
It does. The quality, you rush through things just to get it checked off the list, and quality over quantity. And really marrying those two is possible as well.
Yeah.
Right? Like doing things of a high quality nature in high quantities, that is possible. But the only way that's possible is if we're disciplined.
Right. So that makes sense. That's why you got to be disciplined to wake up in the morning, is to start your day off with that W, so that all the other things just fall in line naturally, like they're supposed to, so you don't feel like you're chasing it.
And I love that saying of, you get out of things what you put into it. And if you put quality time into things, you're going to get quality things out of it.
Yeah.
right? And if you're just rushing through things to get them done, then what you're going to get out of that is probably not at the level that you hope.
A rushed product, really, whatever it is that you're putting together.
And rushed products don't grow as well as really fine-tuned products.
No, I absolutely agree with you. So during the podcast, you said, what are some you asked a question towards the end of the podcast. You asked a question and you said, what are some safeguards you can put in place to be able to pass the first test to start gaining momentum on a more consistent basis?
Yeah.
So what are some safeguards? So I want to ask you, Dal.
Okay.
What are some safeguards that you have put in place every morning to make sure that you get out of bed?
Sweet. I'll answer your question by asking you a question.
Yeah.
Where do you charge your phone?
I charge my phone right next to my bed.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So I don't.
Okay.
Yeah. Typically, I do now.
Yeah.
I won't lie. I do now because I'm disciplined enough and I trust myself enough.
Yeah.
But there was a period of time where I did not charge my phone next to my bed when I was trying to breed more discipline into my life. And I'm not going to throw shade at my wife, but she still does not charge her phone next to our bed.
Really?
She charges it in the bathroom.
Yeah.
It's,
So sorry, I don't want to jump. I don't want to cut you off, but the phone is in correlation with your alarm clock. So
Yes.
some people, so the people that don't use your phone as an alarm clock is this.
We live in modern times now, but I remember the day when I had an alarm clock.
Right.
And that actually could be a safeguard
Yeah.
for someone.
But
they still exist. In
yeah.
fact, I saw a really cool one that was made out of wood that had numbers that light up. It was super cool.
That is cool.
Look at Amazon. But my wife, she doesn't charge her phone next to her bed. She puts in a safeguard, puts it in her bathroom, in our master bathroom, because it doesn't give her an out.
Yeah.
She has to literally get up out of her bed, rise to her feet, walk to the bathroom, and turn it off. And dude, the likelihood of you hitting the bed again once you're already on your feet and in the bathroom, it's a lot lower, the likelihood that you're going to fall back to sleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's a safeguard that she's built in, and a safeguard that I used for a while, where I would charge my phone away from my bed because I wasn't disciplined. I didn't trust myself enough. I hadn't built up the habit of not hitting the snooze button. I had actually built in the habit of, I'm going to sleep for 5 extra minutes today. And some days it was just 5 extra minutes. I would say that was the ingrained habit. That's the way my brain had wired things, right?
Yeah.
My behavior. But sometimes it was actually a lot more. And there were a few times, and everybody's been here that's listening, where I woke up and it was like, oh crap, I've got to be to work in 20 minutes. I hated those things, dude.
Yeah.
Those days sucked.
Yeah.
And they do suck, right? When you're playing catch up.
Yeah.
Playing catch up is not a fun game.
No.
It's not a game that high achievers play very consistently, if at all. And it's not a game that people who achieve things at a really high rate are very successful in their space and in their discipline. It's not a game they play. So I don't want to play that game.
So one of the safeguards that anybody that is having a hard time getting up in the morning, having a hard time winning the morning, one of the safeguards they can put into place is put their alarm. If they use an alarm clock, put the alarm clock on the other side of the room, or even in the bathroom.
Yeah.
And then put your phone if you're using.
Or
your phone
just
as
in the
your alarm
hallway,
clock,
right outside your door. Yeah. Like anywhere where it's not going to give you an out.
Yeah.
Anywhere where it's going to require you to actually get up out of your bed.
And logically, as I'm thinking through this, it's like if you're up on your feet, you're more awake.
For sure.
Oftentimes when I hit snooze because my phone's right next to my bed, it's because I'm so groggy, right? My alarm clock's going off. My brain's not really catching up. It's not up to speed because I'm just waking up. So it's much easier to hit snooze.
Yeah.
But if I'm out of my bed and I walk over to my phone, you wake up obviously a little bit more because you got to use some more mechanics. To get over to your phone, you have a much clearer head to be able to make the decision to stay awake.
Both good habits and bad habits are a product of making the behavior easy.
Yeah.
So you just said that. You just said that I turn over and it's just easier to hit the snooze button because I'm groggy.
Yeah.
That's where habits are formed, good and bad.
Right.
And it's something to remember as you continue to, navigate your day and strategize and manipulate your environment, is how can if it's something I want to do, that I'm striving to do, that I know is good, that I know I need to be doing in order to grow in whatever it is I'm trying to achieve, I need to make that behavior easy to deliver on. And then also those bad habits that you have, you need to look at what's making that habit easy to deliver on, and you need to weed out the easiness of it.
Yeah.
Hence the alarm clock in the bathroom, right? It's not easy. It's a lot harder to hit the snooze button and go back to bed.
Yeah.
Right? Now you're starting to form a different habit, which is I get up in the mornings and rise to my feet first thing.
Right. So I have a question for you, Dal. There's a lot of successful, high achieving people that I know.
Yeah.
That don't get up early.
For sure.
That work late.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that? What do you think about the people that do sleep in till 8:30, 9, sometimes 10 o'clock in the morning, but then are working until 10, 11, 12 p.m. at night?
Yeah, I think with sleep and your own unique life circumstance, there is flexibility in this principle. However, I think the principle of weeding out certain behaviors in your morning routine, no matter what time you wake up,
No matter what numbers on the clock,
is vital.
Yeah.
Right. And I wake up early because I have children. I have children that need my attention, and they deserve my attention every night. And therefore, I wake up early, because if I don't wake up early and deliver on these things early in the morning, right, and stack tons of wins early in the morning, I will not be able to stack those wins later in the day without losing steam in another area of priority for me, which is being a good dad.
Right.
And that's a problem.
It almost frees up that pressure at the evening time where you're like, oh, I got up so early. I got so much of my stuff done. I got everything done that I needed to get done today. So now I can focus.
There's nothing on the back of my mind pulling me from that other priority, because just because I have high goals doesn't mean that like I get a free pass on being a good dad.
No.
In fact, that's something that has to continue no matter what. That's higher on my list of priorities, right? But because I'm passionate about what I do, and because I do have high goals, if I don't get certain things done, there's this tug.
Yeah.
And I'm human, right?
Yeah.
There's this tug. I have this passion, and my kids are my passion as well. But like those two things, they cause friction.
Yeah.
And I'm not my best when I do that. So therefore, I wake up early and stack wins at 4:30. But again, let's come back to the principle of, no matter what time you wake up, no matter when you win your morning, the principle of delivering on proactive behaviors is really, really important if you're looking to grow as a person and get closer to achieving your goals, right? And what I mean is, a lot of people, and this is where the cell phone's an issue as well, right? They hit the snooze button, and then if there's any notifications on their cell phone, they've started their morning by checking all their notifications, whether that's email, text, social media, and now their brain is in a reactionary state. It's not in a proactive state. It's not in an acting upon life state. It's in reacting to life.
That's interesting.
Right? And that's the whole principle of life is happening for us, not to us. Right? When life is happening for us, we have, 2-3 hours to be as proactive as possible and gain control over the controllables and build momentum and be disciplined, right? First thing in the morning. As opposed to somebody whose life is happening to them, they're reacting to emails and social media and messages from friends and checking the news and looking at the latest statistics on the ESPN app or whatever. And then their phone becomes the navigator, right? Oh man, there's Angry Birds, and I want to play that for 5 seconds while I go to the bathroom in the morning, and now I've wasted 45 minutes. Time and energy are finite. I've just wasted 45 minutes of my time and energy that could have been high quality,
So when you say morning, so when you say morning is for winners, it's not necessarily getting up at like if you wake up at 4:30, 5 o'clock or 4, whatever time you decided to set for yourself to get your stuff done, that's not necessarily just winning the morning. It's getting up early. Yeah.
It's not just getting up early. It does. I think it does involve.
That starts it off, right? But it's not just that.
Lots of people complain about not having enough time. And I mean, my word, then wake up an hour earlier and you have an extra hour.
Yeah.
Wake up 2 hours early and you have extra 2 hours.
Yeah.
But it's more so delivering on the proactive behaviors, the proactive habits that are going to make you better, that are going to serve you, your business, and your goals, and not reacting to everybody else's issues.
Yeah, I never thought of it like that. If I'm being completely honest, I never thought of waking up in the morning, doing my things as being proactive. But that's exactly what it is. When you wake up at 8 o'clock, you got to be in the office by 9. You wake up and you're automatically in that reactive state rather than that proactive state, and that sets the tone for the whole day.
For sure. And that bleed, that wiring that's happening, that neuroplasticity, those patterns, those thinking patterns, those bleed into your day at work. Yeah. And when somebody says something that ticks you off, you're more prone to, react to that negative comment, or you're more prone to react to anything really, any type of stimulus.
Yeah.
And that's where we get ourselves in trouble, is when we're super reactionary to everything. Growth mindsetters, doers, high achievers, successful individuals, they're not reactionary. They're proactive.
Yeah.
With everything.
Yeah.
And that's why they're successful. And we can wire our brain to be super proactive. And one of the best ways to do that is to stack wins in the morning.
Yeah.
And act upon life and be proactive and stray away from anything that's reactionary.
Gosh, dude, as we talk about it, like I get up early and I do my stuff early in the morning, but I never realized how much it benefited me until we're sitting here talking about it.
Yeah.
The proactiveness is, so we've already touched on multiple different things of why it is beneficial to one to wake up in the morning and start stacking those wins. You have more time. You have a clear head because you're working in a proactive state rather than a reactive state. You're going to be able to get your work done so that in the evenings you can focus on other priorities, sometimes even higher priorities than you have during the day,
and not have that friction, that pull.
So there's so many benefits now that we're like sitting down, breaking it down to waking up early. So many benefits. So to those that say I sleep in late and I do my work at night, I at this point I beg to differ. Right.
Well, and let's talk about that. Right. How do you think that affects your sleep and your overall health if you're reactionary up into the wee hours of the night until 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, right? And people are like, man, I just don't sleep well. Like, I just don't sleep. And it's like, well, you don't sleep because you aren't doing anything to help yourself sleep.
Right.
It's not because you're just not a good sleeper.
Right.
That's a fixed mindset.
Right.
Right? Like, you can't change.
Interesting.
It's totally a fixed mindset.
Yeah.
Right? Growth mindset is, I want to sleep. I know I can sleep better. And there are some things that I need to be doing in order to be able to do that. And, one of the biggest is like, I don't engage in work past 9 o'clock. That's like high level work because my brain will not stop. And so I've got to, unless it's crucial, right? Unless there's a deadline and it's a sacrifice that I know I need to make, which is totally common for people, right?
For sure.
Not on a consistent basis, but it's common, especially like in a startup or in the early stages of growth. You have to sacrifice. That's a good principle to live by, sacrifice. You can't live forever in that state. And again, I don't engage in work past 9 o'clock. That's high level work because my brain, it will not shut off, right? And it affects my sleep. And then what ends up happening is that bleeds into the morning. Really, where you win the morning is the night before.
Yeah.
That night before is crucial for winning the morning.
Yeah. I kind of want to chase. I kind of want to read one of the notes that I had is that I was going to ask you. We kind of already covered it. Is why does getting out of bed early get me to my goals faster? Right, because that's one of the things you mentioned in the episode, the Daily Drip, Morning Art for Winners, episode 3. You mentioned how getting up early is going to help you achieve your goals faster. Yeah, we've kind of already talked about it, but do you want to go in a little bit deeper on that principle?
Yeah, I think in simple terms, just what we've talked about, and just to reiterate, time and energy are finite.
Yeah,
and the more high quality time and energy that you can put into the work, the quicker you're going to get anywhere, right? Like climbing a mountain is a really simple, basic example, but like if I can conserve time and energy and utilize it and capitalize on that time and energy in the moments that it's needed most, I'm going to plow up that mountain a lot quicker than if I hadn't done that.
Right.
So, and that could be a conversation for a whole nother day, the whole zigzag path up the mountain. That's the quickest way up, achieving the goal. It's not a straight line path, right? And that's, I guess you could talk about that a little bit, and hopefully this makes sense. But like when you plow up a mountain, you're not going to go from point A to point Z on a straight line path because it'll take you forever. We live here at the base of the Wasatch Mountains. These mountains are big, right? And if you try to go straight up it, most of the time you're never going to make it because it's just hard. The easiest, quickest, most efficient way, right, to the top is to zigzag up that thing.
Yeah.
Right. And pivot when you need to and pivot when you need to. That's how you conserve time and energy. But
Interesting.
anyways, that's how you get up to the top of the mountain quicker. And that's what this is all about is trying to be able to zigzag through the day.
This is
most efficient.
This is that first zig, right? It's that first pivot.
Yeah. 100%.
To where you get to decide waking up in the morning, you get to make the decision. No one's pulling you back into bed. I mean, I guess most of the time, no one's pulling you back into bed. No one's pulling you into bed at 5:30 in the morning or 6 or 5 or 4:30 or 4, whenever you're getting up. It's your decision that you get to make.
For sure.
So as you climb to your goals, it's that first decision that you get to make, that you get to have that win to get you closer to your goals. So I completely understand.
And burnout is a real thing.
Yeah.
You know, like that's the straight line path is the burnout path to the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with our daily, routine and our bigger goals that we're working towards. Burnout is a real factor and it does happen and it happens a lot. And it's because people think that they need to, hit the grind button the second they wake up, and they're not taking care of themselves. They're not taking care of their mind. They're not taking care of their body. They're not taking care of the things that motivate and inspire them the most, like their family, right? And when you do those things, they actually give you more energy to 100%. Do your highest quality work in these other areas that matter most to you.
Couldn't agree more.
And that's powerful. And the mornings are a great way to do that.
It's a great way to kick it off.
For sure.
Absolutely. If you are wondering at all why it's beneficial to wake up in the morning after listening to this episode, I don't know if we can help you.
Yeah. Before we close out, man, and I know we've got a little bit of time, but I wanted to stack a few, awesome behaviors to implement into morning routines that are beneficial across the board, no matter the goal. And, mind and body are big. Right. Taking care of those things. And honestly, we could talk about those two specifically and then leave it at that and kind of go from there as time continues on in the Growthcast. But, reading is a great habit for the morning, right? Learning, acquiring new information, and then finding ways to implement it throughout your week. I stack my book on top of all my other books that I use in the morning, which is my journal. I stack it on my desk so it's easy to deliver on in the morning, right? I don't have to go find my book. It's sitting there. It's ready for me. And so I go into my office, and before I go to the gym, I read 5 pages. I have a set number. And again, my book's easy to access. It's sitting right on top of my desk. I don't have to go look for it. And I sit down and I read my 5 pages and I make my annotations inside my book and create some daily goals, weekly goals as it pertains to the new information that I acquired. And then underneath my book is my journal. And so I do my daily pages, feed gratitude, set up my goals for the day, touch base on my 12-week goals so they're on the forefront of my mind as I go about things, and basically just structure my entire day. Like prior planning prevents poor performance. We talked about that recently. And then once I do that, I go move my body, right? I failed to mention I also hydrate. I have a cup sitting on top of my book, right? So like I'm stacking W's. I've made it easy to deliver on those W's in the morning, and I'm being super proactive about it. My brain's loving it.
Yeah.
My body's loving it.
Yeah.
Right. And all the work that's going to come after is going to love it as well, because I'm going to be more efficient at everything else.
So again, winning the morning just isn't waking up early.
No.
It's not just waking up early and then dilly-dallying around your house, not really doing anything, not really being productive. It's not just waking up early. It's these other principles that you need to make sure you have into place too, that are hydrate, read, so strengthen your mental, and strengthen your physical.
And that looks different for each person.
It does.
You know yourself. You know how to stretch. You should know where you're stretching yourself and where you're not stretching yourself. And the key is to stretch yourself just a little bit, right? That's where growth happens. I will say this about the morning though, Jax. A lot of people that listen to the Growthcast don't have the luxury of having a super flexible schedule, right? A lot of people are trying to grow a high-level business and have a full-time job.
Right.
That's where waking up really is crucial. Because if you don't wake up by a set time, you don't have time.
Right.
I mean, for years, I was growing my business and working as a full-time employee for a school district.
Right.
Dude, I had a schedule. Class started at 8, right? And at 8, it wasn't about me anymore. It was about my students. It was about all the people I was serving, the community, everybody, right? And then I was there till 4. And then who needed me after 4? My own children. Dude, the only time I had to deliver on these things where I could be as proactive as possible and take care of these things was between, whatever time I woke up and 7:45. I had to get up early.
Yeah.
You got to have discipline. If that's you, if that's your situation, you've got to have discipline. You've got to create the time. You can't complain about not having the time because it's there. It's up to you to be disciplined to use that time wisely.
And that brings it back to the extreme ownership. That's up to you. If you don't have enough time, the only person at fault is yourself.
For sure. You can't complain about the world. You can't complain about your job, your boss. You can't complain, period. You can't indulge in that type of conversation with yourself. You need to dictate the narrative. You need to control the controllables, and you need to breed more discipline into your life and take ownership of the situation. The situation isn't as bad as you might think it is, right? And if you can master that conversation and take action accordingly, you'll be great. You'll be fine. You'll find that you actually have more time than what you thought prior, and it's up to you to determine that through and via mindset, right? I mean, that's why we do what we do here.
So get up early, dang it.
Yeah. So WTM, win the morning.
Win the morning.
And again, hopefully you're able to grab some things here. Again, these are all unique to your own situation, but the principles are universal for everybody as far as delivering on proactive behaviors and everything else that we discussed today.
Exactly. Thank you so much for tuning in. Dallas, is there anything you want to add? I think that's a great place to end.
No, and I think I want to end with that. WTM, right?
Win the morning. Take ownership of that extra time that you can get in the morning and really use it to benefit yourself and
100%.
benefit whatever it is that you're growing. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Multifamily Mindset Growthcast Extended Cut with Jackson and Dallas, going over diving in deeper to Mornings Are for Winners, episode 3. Go back and listen to it if you haven't. Dallas, thank you so much. This is my favorite part of the week, being able to chat with you and dive a little bit deeper into some of these principles that you've already taught us. So thank you, man. Super appreciate you. If you haven't left us a review, left a comment on the podcast, wherever you are that you're listening, please do. It helps us out a ton.
Don't screw up our 5-star rating.
Are we at 5 stars right now? Perfect.
We're at 5 stars. Thank you all that have joined in there and given us reviews and left a little comment. We appreciate it so much.
Share this podcast with somebody that you think needs help winning the morning. It really is a principle that can benefit every single person, no matter the area of work that you're in. So super grateful for y'all. Have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll see you on Monday.